What's up, guys? Welcome to Becoming the 1% podcast. My guest today is Ziv Glickman. He is here to help us with our partnership with Dreampod. Very excited for this. So this marks the beginning of our journey through float tanks. Float therapy has been something that I have been trying out and testing the waters with recently, and I've really come to appreciate the benefits. And now finally we will be able to offer it here in-house at our facility. This podcast is meant to educate you guys on exactly what it does, how it can help you, and where you can go if you guys have interest in getting one for your house. If you want to find a place nearby that offers it, this podcast is meant to help you guys understand what it is you're getting into and hopefully help you guys through understanding of what the benefits are once you get going. Enjoy. This episode of Becoming the 1% podcast.
Got entrepreneurial. We got some really big things coming.
You have to have the willingness.
It's an A or B.
Try and use it as a tool.
This is phenomenal.
On details make up a person.
It's what we believe in the industry.
It's probably going to take you a couple times floating to really understand why you're there. Just to get comfortable being, because it's very, if you're somebody with an overactive mind, it's very difficult to get comfortable in a setting with no light, no sound, and total buoyancy. And that's what the float tank does, is it basically makes you entirely weightless to where you're floating. How many pounds of Epsom salt do you put in that bath?
In this one?
Yeah.
We will put about, so 12 times, let's say 12 times 55 pounds. What is it? 600, 700 pounds?
So 700 pounds of Epsom salt
700
and magnesium. Is that?
It's Epsom salt is magnesium sulfite.
Oh, interesting.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Epsom salt is not salt.
Is it not really?
It's a mineral. You know, it's called salt. It's bad salts, but you know, it's not salt like what people think salt is, right?
Sure.
It's magnesium and sulfite mixed together. That's what happens. It becomes Epsom salt. So
you learn something new every day. To this day, I did not know that Epsom salt was not. I knew it was. I thought it was a form of salt.
So we say salt, right? But really, it's magnesium. That's what it is. The magnesium is the good part, what your body needs, what people don't get enough. A lot of the relaxation you get, a lot of the benefits is just the magnesium.
Yeah. And the tub stays like right at 98 degrees. It's designed to be at human temperature.
So by the way, I did double check, and you're wrong. I didn't mean body temperature. I meant skin temperature.
Okay.
Skin temperature is less than body temperature. Okay. So
what's skin temperature?
It's like 93 to 98.
Okay.
So it really depends. That's why you would go 90, probably 96. You want to float, but that's the thing. Once you have it at home, you can really start customize it to what you want it, because people have different body temperature. People have different preference. People have even different preference of salinity, of gravity. Some people want more water up to here or up to here. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So yeah. So it's a science, but it's customizable in a way. There are the standards, but you can,
do it based on what you weigh and where you want the water level to go. And
I mean, there is a standard, definitely. So we say, like the levels with the hydrometer, the levels of what you want the salinity to be in. You don't want it to be over a certain level because it will become a rock of salt. Really,
like literally, it'll turn hard.
Yeah.
Wow.
You gotta be careful. 1.30, and you want it to be between 1.2 to 1.3 in the hydrometer, and 1.25 will be kind of perfect. But anywhere between 1.24 to 1.28. 1.21, you won't even. It will be hard to float. Also, other than the right condition for floating, you also want it to be a certain level so salt water really repel any bacteria and stuff like that. You want it to be up there where it's also sanitizing. So
yeah, you mentioned that you actually don't have to change the water on this as often as I would have imagined. Is that because of the high salt concentrate, that it just filters itself, it stays clean on its own just by its design?
So the system has self-cleaning. That's from one hand, right? So it goes through UV arm, through UV light for disinfection, and then it goes into the 10 micron filter, and then it goes back to the tank. It goes through the heater to heat, of course.
Yeah.
So that's one part of how it stays clean. And after every session, someone takes a session of floating. Basically, when the session is done, they go out of the tank. The pump start working to filtration for about 15 minutes, depend on which tank you have. The stronger tanks do it faster for commercial setting. Right, you know what I'm saying? So that's one part. But another part, which you guys need to learn as well, is the water maintenance that needs to be done on a daily basis to keep it well and clean. It's not a lot of time, but it needs to be done. So like using hydrogen peroxide That's what we recommend. 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide, which you can buy online. And you basically you always want it to have some hydrogen peroxide, residual amount of it in the water. What it does, it dissolves any oils, and make sure it's clean. So
and clients shower before they get in either way.
Yes.
To keep it as a
Again,
precautionary
anything you can do that to keep the water as clean as possible, because you don't want to refill it with salt and water. It's $1,000 again,
Yeah.
People ask how long until I need to change the water. We could say 500 floats, but I mean, there are people that haven't changed waters for years.
Yeah.
Now, the water is really changed over the time, because it's like skin. It's like, 7 years that you say the cells in the body think about it. You replenish salt every month.
Sure.
You put in some more water every month. So it does change slowly if you think about it.
Yeah, because you're going to lose water when someone steps in and out, and salt too, as they transfer off each person that floats.
One person, roughly, could take out 1 pound of salt when they go out of the tank.
Wow.
So you could tell your, people that float here, you can tell them to, before they go out, make sure because this is expensive.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what is the impact then on like skin and hair? If somebody's in this high concentrate of a mineral bath, what does this do is somebody at risk of drying out their skin, drying out their hair? Nothing like that?
No, nothing like that, because the salt, the salinity outside of your body is so high, so it doesn't pull any salt from your body. That's why your skin doesn't get that kind of wrinkle that it does in regular water.
Or in actual salt water like the ocean.
Or like the ocean.
Because that's the only thing, to me, when I equated them in my head, up until you said it, I didn't recognize the difference between salt and an actual Epsom salt bath.
Yeah.
So it's not the same as the ocean, which is actual salt water.
It's not the same. But even the ocean, I'm not sure scientifically exactly what kind of salt it is. But no, it's not the same. Right?
Got it.
And so people have done all-night floats. People float for 8 hours straight.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Whoa!
I have a feeling you're gonna try it one day.
I'm gonna try some crazy things with this.
Yeah.
Now that you have one that we have at our beck and call, I am very excited. You mentioned that a lot of this on you guys' end is very experimental, because we're doing it outside. We're trying to see exactly what kind of consistency the tub will hold up. I have my own experimental side of things that I want to conduct as well. I want to see, what is the difference between running a low frequency vibe music in a pitch darkness? I want to try with the lid open. I want to see what exactly does the experience do. If a client comes to me and says, hey, I'll do it, but I only want it with the lid open, I'm not comfortable closing it, are they going to get the same results as somebody who does close it and deprives himself of light? I just want to know kind of where that goes. I'm very curious about it.
So you want to experiment it?
Yeah.
I think it's great. I've been experimenting it, and especially on this last couple of weeks, I've been traveling, visiting some of our clients at the float centers in the West Coast, and I met some interesting people. You always meet interesting people when you go to float centers.
Oh, I'm sure.
And people that this boy, 18-year-old high school wrestler, in where was it? In Vernal, Utah.
Okay.
And during wrestling season, he float twice a day, morning and evening.
Okay? For rest recovery and mental recovery.
And he's done it since he was 14.
Whoa.
Now, he has an advantage. His parents own the float center.
Yeah.
Right. But it's still not a given. So I interviewed him. It was super interesting. Also, how his parents forced him in the beginning to float. He didn't like it from the beginning.
Yeah.
But he loves it now. And he floats inside. He loves the Dreampod Stealth, which is a black tank, because that one is the ultimate darkness, because it's black from the inside.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, those experiments of what you can do, floating multiple times a day, floating all night long. People have done it, and it's really interesting why people float. Different reasons. I
was thinking in terms of your total darkness. If there was a situation where somebody, say, again, I'm advocating for the person who may be a little claustrophobic and may not entirely want the lid closed. It seems to me like you could hypothetically wear perhaps a sleep mask over your eyes and go in there to where you could still achieve that level of darkness with the lid open.
Okay, let me say this very clearly. Okay, claustrophobic people, you have to just explain them. This is a situation where you have total control. You can just open it and leave. So this is not a situation where the door is locked and you can't open it, and you know what I'm saying? If they understand that, I think they'll be okay with that. Now they can leave it open, of course, and then close it if they feel comfortable, right? Sure. But usually I believe claustrophobic people, it's because of they can control the situation as well. They can get out of that place. But here, they can get out. I've had a few people tell me, in the beginning, I thought I'm quite claustrophobic and I wasn't sure I would like it, and they liked it.
Is that a common complaint people might have with this therapy? Is that I don't know if I'd like that. I'm a little claustrophobic. Do you hear that a lot?
Yeah, I mean, we don't hear it so much because I guess those kind of people may not even get into the conversation, usually,
sure,
I would say. But yeah, I think where you think about how to get more people to know about it, to try it, to float, generally in the world, right? Because we know it's great and it's very, very healthy thing to do. So yeah, there is this part of people that are claustrophobic. They just see this thing and they're like, no, right?
Right.
So I think the more we put content like this one, for example, the people understand that they have fully control in the situation. I think they'll be okay with that. And floating maybe is not for everybody. In terms of,
I think it can be.
It is for everybody can benefit from it.
Yeah.
Right. But some people need to get that barrier of. Not necessarily the claustrophobic thing, the not being, open to sensory input. People have a hard time with that.
The deprivation of stimulation.
That's what you seek, but many people, that's what they're afraid of.
They may be afraid of it, but I think this falls into the exact same category as somebody who, doesn't want to be uncomfortable in a sauna. You may not want to be uncomfortable in a sauna, but you will benefit greatly from spending 15, 20 minutes a day in a hot sauna. Right. Everyone will. I think a lot of times when people say, I don't want to do that, I'm not comfortable doing it, all they need is information, and that can change. But just because you're not comfortable doing something doesn't mean it's not the best thing for you, and it's not something that will greatly benefit you. And in today, in 2023, I see overstimulation as being like the true pandemic. I mean, everyone is obsessed with their phone, watching television, their work, their family, their jobs. Everything is so overstimulated. We live in a state of fight or flight from the moment we open our eyes in the morning, from when we go to sleep. And I am somebody who I sleep great. I will most of the time, I go to great lengths to sleep great. But even with my 7.5 routine hours of sleep per night, I still find myself throughout the day feeling overwhelmed. Sometimes to the point where the only thing I know how to do to turn it off is to take a nap. And I'm somebody, I have no problem doing that. But now this would be a way to do it at an even greater benefit to myself rather than just taking a nap. I can go and I can float for an hour instead of taking a nap in the middle of the day.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. People should also, I feel like if you put yourself in the tank, like you said, it's like even if you want, you can't look at your phone, right? Even if you're inside salt water, you're going in there for an hour, you're not going to do anything else, right? So that's like forces us to be away. Like you say, the only thing you can do is take a nap, right? I think most people, I have to admit it, me too. We have this issue. We often look at the phone. And we, those that are very aware, we probably be like, oh, what are we doing? Every time, but it's every time, right? What are we doing? But we still pick it up and everything. So yeah, that's a good way to really cut it out and to get into a situation that forces you to cut it out. Yeah.
What I'm thinking about doing, I'm going to make it optional, but I was thinking about, there's a company that makes, they make bowls, they make china countertops, they make these wonderful like vase looking structures that are basically Faraday bags. They're household items. It's a company I found that is specifically designed to cut off the signal to your phone. And what I'm considering doing is putting one of those outside near the float tank and offering it to the clients. Be like, look, I get it. If you want your phone to have a signal, then by all means. But if you don't want it to, if you truly want to cut yourself off from that, from your phone, from the Wi-Fi, from all of that, put your phone in this little vase. Now get into the float tank. Now there's no way that your phone can ring while you're in there.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago I had a float and I put my phone next to it. I forgot to put it on airplane mode.
And it buzzed.
And at 25 minutes in, it buzzed.
Oh.
Not rang, vibrated, was enough for me to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
And it ruined the whole thing. So after 30 minutes, I was out of there. You know, so yeah, don't forget to put your phone, at least turn it off, at least put it on airplane mode. Yeah.
Yes, silent mode isn't enough. And that's the thing I find also, it's the same thing when I take like a nap. And it's all of us, if our phone is on the countertop right by us, which it always is, and it's on silent, it's still going to vibrate. You'll still wake up. Now your nap was pretty much useless. So taking great steps to intentionally cut ourselves off from that technology for given periods of time, I think is very important.
Yes, and I think float tank again, it's a great space to do something like that. And you know, back to what you asked before, like about people that claustrophobic or people that float, and I wanted to talk about like people float for different reasons. But when I went to see these float center owners around the West Coast, and I asked each one of them, like, I want to know like how many people coming in here like it, how many people don't like it, how many people come back, right? This kind of stats, because floating is very interesting. It's not yet like a massage, which is much more acceptable and I think much more popular, right? And I found out that about 80 to 90% of people like it. They enjoy the experience, but I would say about half of them only come back. Right. And I don't know if it's like, again, people are so busy with their life and, I'm trying to figure out how do we make more people to do this great thing that will benefit them, every day. I want to know a little bit about actually, how did you start?
Like I said, for me, I started, the first thing that made me start it was Joe Rogan.
Okay.
I heard him talking about it. He had one in his studio. And at first I didn't even know about float pods. I knew about deprivation chambers. And I wasn't really sure what the difference was and exactly what a deprivation chamber looked like. And then someone told me, it's kind of like how in Stranger Things, she gets into the tub and she cuts out the light. And that's basically what a deprivation chamber is. And then when I saw Rogan talking about it, that's when I realized, this is an actual service, something people do, something people offer. And then I continued along, and as I realized, because my vision for this was to, as you know, combine this therapy with deep tissue massage, active with a sports therapist, working with simultaneous therapies together to achieve not just a physical but a mental release in a session. That's the goal. And for something like that to be achieved, first of all, it's going to be certainly a time-consuming thing. But regardless of that, I didn't see anybody offering this in the market. I didn't see a place where you had like a massage therapist who could do deep tissue, cupping, scraping, and then you could get into a mineral bath afterwards.
You're talking about this market?
Yes, I'm talking about our market. So when I first started looking into this, I came at this from two fronts. I was curious obviously for myself and for the health benefits, but I was also curious why I had not found anyone in the market that was utilizing this style of recovery in conjunction with other styles of recovery, like specifically with massage.
Right.
Because like you mentioned, almost everyone today, I think, is, unless they have a weird phobia about being touched, almost everyone is okay with a massage.
Right.
I see massage as still one of the best forms of recovery that somebody can get, but I've been a practitioner of Epsom salt baths for years. I use them 2-3 times a week. So once I realized there was a place where you can take this and it is an Epsom salt bath times 100 or times 200, like your like you said, 700 pounds of Epsom salt, right away I realized, even if I go into this thing and I don't really mentally get exactly what I want, I know for a fact if I float in a mineral bath for 45 minutes, I'm going to get an incredible relief of stress in my muscles just by the nature of the magnesium. Yeah. So it really does hit recovery from so many different fronts. That's why I wanted to bring it here. Right. And that's ultimately why I reached out to you guys.
So you only heard about it in 2023?
Oh yeah. No, I'm brand new to it. I've only heard about it a few months back.
Okay.
I had... Someone may have mentioned it to me, but I'd never dug into it. You know what it was, honestly? I think someone had sent me your page maybe a year ago. And I had seen that you guys were doing it, but I had never done it, and I had never like really researched just beyond that. But I did know, and that's why when I decided, hey, this would be really good to put in this room,
Right.
I know there's a company out there that is making these
Right.
for home use,
Right.
for both commercial and for private use,
Right.
and that's you guys. There's nobody else I found doing that.
Right. Yeah, I first heard about floating also from Rogan, but maybe 2011.
Okay.
Or something like that, 2010. And
You guys are 10 years old, right? Is that right around how old
we are 13 years old. Actually.
13 years old.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Actually, Dreampod started as Dreamwater, as a float center in Taiwan, the first float center in Asia.
Whoa, that's cool.
Mike is the founder.
Okay.
And he's a buddy of mine for a very long time, for 20 years. And we were listening to Rogan, and Mike was talking about floating, and he happened to get to try it in England, I believe, in London.
Is that where it started?
No, he was on a business trip or something, and he tried it, and he was so excited, so he bought two, and he took them back to Taiwan to start, because he was living in Asia, and to start a float center. But after a little while, since in China, people are in manufacturing and everything, and so he was thinking, all right, I think we should make these tanks and make them better. So that's how Dreampod started. I tried floating first time 2013.
Wow.
In one of the Dreampod first versions, V1 in Asia.
Yeah.
And that first float was amazing. Now, I met a lot of people that love flotation, but their first float was not good.
Yeah, that's
a lot of people, yeah. And that's why float centers like to sell packages of 3.
Yeah.
Because they say you should try 3, which is true.
Yeah.
But my first and second float actually was so great that sometimes I feel like I'm still chasing those floats.
Yeah.
There was something. I was just, I came out of. I remember it, like I can see it in my mind. I came out of the tank and I felt like someone just gave me this great massage, and I was like, how is it possible? You feel so, like you said, the muscle release and the mind, and then later when I continued, then I had a float pod at home for about a year, same one you got, and that's where I started experimenting with the mind. Right, you go in there, visualizations, you think about. Maybe I was doing an open mic at the time, some comedy beats.
Nice.
So I was working on them in the tank.
In your head.
Yes,
Yeah.
I had an important meeting, some business. I was working on it in the tank.
Yeah.
It's a good, think box.
It's a think tank.
Yes. Yeah. Now we can use it for whatever, or you can use it for meditation, just guided meditation, or mindfulness, or all of those things. I believe that's part of why you like it.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, that's definitely the main reason that I think mentally I was attracted to it. But I do hear what you're saying. I mean, because I have I would say that my time spent in it is probably going to be divided in half. That first half of my float, my mind is still kind of running. So I'm working through whatever it is that my problems are in that given day, week, month. If I've got things that are weighing on me, I'm able to sit. Our phones are such band-aids. They're they're crutches for our brain, because we don't really ever get to address the things that are bothering us, because we're always distracted. Well, now, if I'm in a 45-minute float with no air, no sound, and I'm just thinking, I'm able to finally address those issues. Right. And for me, I noticed that that's the first half of my float is that.
Yeah.
And then, especially if I am in there with like a low-frequency guided meditational sound, I'm able to kind of clear that in the second half of the float.
You like the sound, the whole float?
When I did it at mine, yes, they had a sound. They had.
Did you ask for it?
A guided. I didn't. No, I found, but there are playlists on Spotify specifically dedicated to this. There are meditational.
But could
playlists.
You stop the music if you wanted?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
In
totally.
The button, right?
In the button, yeah. They had a
but
little.
you like the music on? That's what you're saying.
I did, yeah.
Okay,
I did like it.
I like it better without the music.
You like it
total,
silent.
Total darkness, total silent. But I experiment, with the music, with light, with different kind of light.
And I'm excited. Same here. I'm excited to play around with it and tinker with it. And I'm sure it's different.
Yeah.
I'm sure each time, if you do it with music, it's probably totally different than if you do it with no music.
And I think it's also a part of the experience, how experienced you are in doing this. It's like meditation, right? But the good part is that it's easier than sitting in a regular room doing meditation because you're comfortable and you're warm, and it's like the sensory deprivation, of course.
You've set yourself in a setting where you are literally stripped of everything. Not only no foam, no clothes. You are in a body of water, totally naked. Your entire reason for being there is to find that meditative state.
It's only your mind that you have
yes.
right in there, right? And what you say just now, sometimes I feel it's like one of my recent floats. I felt like it's like I'm like a baby trying to go to sleep, like you're crying, like your head inside your head, and then after 25 minutes, if you are disciplined enough, suddenly it's like, it's like that moment, and sometimes that moment is just a moment, and then you go back to. But you have that moment of euphoria.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you can keep it, it's like really continue for long, So it's not like it's easy every time. I believe that if you consistently do it, it will become like more like easy. I saw people that are I took some photos and videos in this during this trip at these float centers, and every time we got like a model, a regular floater, not like real models. When they were experienced floaters, I had to tell them, please move a little bit for the photos, because experienced floaters, they go in and they're still, like
they don't move like, one bit.
Yeah.
And is that, I mean, in your experience, because you're an experienced floater, is that the best way to achieve the is to truly not move a muscle, to go in there and just your breath? You're breathing, and that's it.
For sure. It's like meditation. You need to get to the point where you don't feel your body. This point in meditation too? Have you experienced that point in regular meditation where you stop feeling your body?
No.
Okay.
Honestly, I have tried to meditate. Really, I'd say for at least half my life. I would say since I first learned about it in college, certainly after college, there's been times where I've been, okay, I'm gonna really learn about it this year. That's my goal this year, is to learn and it was this year too. I wanted to figure out a way to truly, because I hear people's stories of they're like, I wake up, I start my day with 20 minutes of meditation, not even that much, just 20 minutes. And for me, I find it just really, really difficult to do. To sit on and I've got the whole setup. I've got a meditation pillow and a little area I can go where I know I'm not going to be bothered by my phone or my puppy or anything. And it's really hard for me. And I think a lot of times the reason that it's so hard for people like me and is not just the active mind. It's the fact that even if you're seated in a very comfortable yoga pose, or you're in a position where you're even just laying flat on the ground, you are still connected with your body in a big way. You feel the earth under your feet. You feel the earth under your head. You're still present there in your body.
You still feel your senses.
The only time that I can say so far that I can achieve a true meditative state is in an ice bath.
Okay, because you breathe deep,
because I'm breathing,
slow,
and eventually my body goes numb. That's the reason why.
And then you move a little bit and it's cold again.
Exactly. If I go in and it's very similar to a float therapy, the first half of an ice bath. I know an ice bath at max is 10 minutes. Your time in the ice bath significantly quicker, but the first 5 minutes, all you feel is your body. There's no meditating going on in that first half of the flow or of the ice bath.
I mean, I don't know if the ice bath is a different kind of not feeling your body, I guess, right? From what I meant. But first time when I learned how to meditate in India like 20 years ago. I was backpacking in India for a year, and I had the opportunity to learn different things like that in there. And I achieved that kind of feelings when I meditated back then, and that was like, a revelation, like, oh my God, I stopped feeling my body and stuff like that. But the last 20 years with life and kids and family and work and everything, I feel you totally. I cannot do it anymore. However, when you go into the float tank, you can achieve it.
You can get it. Yeah.
Just stay, you can achieve it every time, at least for a moment. Yeah, that moment where you don't feel anything. Yes. And if you do it more often, you will feel it to longer and longer moments, and that's a great. It's just a bliss kind of moment, feeling, and that's what I think people look for. However, I think that floating is not just about the mind, as we said, right? And I think bringing more people into floating could be talking a lot about the actual physical benefits, you know, and once they try it, let them try it. Let them come because they have pain. They have PTSD. They have, you know, anxiety. I see those floaters. That's why they float in the regular in float centers. I've talked to some of them, right?
Yeah.
Those are really the reasons. But if you come and you come because of some condition that you want to, you know, you want a pain point in the body, and you don't think about the mind at all. You know, some people are not into those things, right? But maybe after 2-3 times, suddenly you suddenly have that moment inside, even without trying, right? And then you discover that. So I think some people need to come from that direction, and some people need to come from the mind direction. You know.
Yeah.
In the end of the day, yeah, it's something everybody can benefit from if they do it. I would say once a week.
And you just mentioned everyone. Is there any demographic that should or should not do it, whether that's pregnant women or any mental illness? Is there anyone that should not go in the tub?
So it's good for pregnant women, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, the magnesium and the floating, you know, on the body after, you know, all the stress on the body. A lot of pregnant women do that. There's not really a condition where you shouldn't float. Actually, quite severe conditions should float, and it will improve their conditions. Again, I've heard stories that are quite amazing. Old people that come in with issues. A husband helping his wife walking. She barely walked into the tank, and he stays near her. After an hour, she walked out by herself and took a shower. So like, you know, yeah, it's really, there's no, the only thing I would say, like, you know, it's things like if you just shaved or you just had a tattoo or, you know, stuff like that, you better not go inside the salt water, you know.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, you know, people from all walks of life do that, and I think it can benefit a lot of, like old people. And I'm really happy when I see teenagers do it. I think it's really cool, because, you know, someone that already understand that it starts early, that kind of wellness journey. Yeah, it's really, really nice to see.
It's like anything else. If you start weightlifting as a teenager, you're going to probably be a more proficient weightlifter as you get older. Same with this. Same with contrast therapy. I mean, I don't shy away from having my, you know, junior high school athletes do ice baths. I'm like, get used to it. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to help you. And if you can master it now, it'll be a lot easier than trying to master it when you're 30. Yeah. I think a lot of this stuff too, especially something like a float tank, it seems to hit a lot of the top tier athletes, you know, high end influencers, people with money. It seems to hit that demographic a lot faster than it does for the everyday individual. So that if I could put out sort of a goal that we will have with the educational side of this, I want to make this much more common and normalize it so that people don't think that it's only for the Joe Rogans of the world, because that's the perception sort of, I think, right now. People think that this is something that, you know, I'm not a pro athlete, I'm not a wellness guru, why would I do this? I
think it's general progression of things, and it's getting more and more popular. We can see it. I mean, you know, you could see it here with you, right, for example. And yeah, accessibility is an issue, right? Because you want to go float at the float center, it's maybe, well, it depends where, I guess, but it's 50, 60, 80, $90, right? And you need to drive somewhere, and you need to take a shower before and a shower after. Yeah. And, you know, I get it, you know, human nature, right? So it's not the most convenient thing to do. But again, it's excuses, right? It's like for people that give excuses why they don't work out.
Yeah, like that's not the most convenient thing to do either.
Right, exactly.
The recovery aspect of I am learning more and more as I age, but also as I grow as a professional, as a coach, as a fitness mentor, whatever you want to call me. I am learning the benefits of recovery far outweigh the training. The training is important, and it always will be. But I think the real difference between somebody who trains and somebody who trains and recovers is so much larger of a gap than I've ever acknowledged. Like personally, through my time in my career, I've realized how important it is to be doing both.
And yeah, I can see in the world that it's something that kind of emerged, right? Because recovery wasn't that big. 20 years ago. I mean, it's a thing, of course, but how much time and how much money people invest in recovery.
Again, I think the upper echelon of sports training, the professional athletes, and the real coaches have known about this, like you said, for 20, 30. I mean, me personally, I've been an advocate and an implementer of ice bath and sauna for the last 14 years of my career. So I've always had it. But I think the average everyday person just thought they needed to just go to the gym. And then that leads to a lot of problems because the average person going to the gym is most likely training wrong, and they're most likely getting maybe not hurt, but they're certainly getting sore, and they're certainly uncomfortable a lot of the time, even if they are not quote unquote injured. If they don't know a proper recovery protocol, well, they're going to hate going to the gym. Why would they ever enjoy going to the gym? Every time they go, they feel terrible for 72 hours. And so to them, they're like, no, this isn't for me. I mean, maybe I'll keep doing this because everybody around me keeps telling me I need to, but I feel uncomfortable, sore, and stiff all the time.
Right.
And so somebody has to come along. And I think, again, that's been the real push in the last 10 years. Everybody in the community, the fitness community, both professional and amateur, has been very well educated now to where the emphasis is so much more on recovery than it's ever been before.
I think some of it is becoming very trendy, like ice baths, right? I mean, well, first of all, it's great because it's very beneficial, as we all know. But we see more and more people make their spa rooms at home.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Oh,
we
yeah.
see people buying float tank and ice baths at the same time, and a sauna.
Sauna.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they make themselves their own room, even if they're not athletes or work out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's,
I see it as becoming. Frankly, I tell clients because we design gyms, home gyms,
Right.
recovery centers, ours. We've done that for a while now. So when someone comes to me, and I'm sure you can imagine how many times per week we get this question. People ask, "How much did all that cost? What's it going to cost for me to make my home gym? What's it going to cost? How's this going to?" I always start the conversation around recovery. I tell my clients, I'm like, look, first of all, don't invest a single dime in a home gym piece of equipment. You can come to this facility, or you can probably find a good facility near you where you can go to the gym. Invest your money in an ice bath, in a sauna, and very soon I'll be advocating for a float tank, because that's something that you can do it at your leisure, which is, it's an intimate setting to start with, much easier to do in your backyard, in your home. Yeah, it's also not exactly, it's very user friendly. It's not like going to the gym and trying to figure out, hey, I need a 90-day structured periodized workout program. I have a hurt shoulder and a bum knee.
How to do it.
Let me figure it out by myself. No, that's probably going to lead you down a path you're not going to like. But anybody can figure out how to get into a sauna.
Right.
And so to me, I tell my clients as best I can, save your money, don't spend it on gym equipment, buy recovery stuff, and get a really, really good membership. And if you don't know what you're doing, get a trainer.
Do they listen?
No.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
Of course.
Sometimes. I'd like to think that sometimes they do.
But I mean, also float tanks are, I would say, a little bit more complicated than ice baths. Right?
Oh, yeah. What?
You know,
I've seen the setup,
because of the salt, and not just because you need to add salt, but salt can make things complicated.
Yes.
Because of salt, you need to have stronger pumps in the machines, right? Because of salt, salt kind of ruins things if it goes into things, and it does, because it evaporates with the heating of the water slowly. Yeah. In your setup, should be no problem, but when you put it inside, people create a whole, they renovate according to what it needs to be, the right kind of flooring, the right kind of walls. It's like a bath, right?
Exactly.
Because otherwise, salt. It's.
I've seen the indoor. You've had some really cool indoor settings on your page.
That's gym up there.
That's a gym. Oh, that is
That's
gym.
gym.
Oh, that
That's
is
gym.
gym.
Yeah.
Gym. Oh, here's a good example. So here's an example of, that's your ice bath. I know.
Ice bath.
But this is a good example right here. What this guy has done. This is his garage. It looks like.
This is a 13 times world champion Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Good for him. But see, what he's done is he's got a nice epoxy on his garage floor. He's got his sauna. He's got a mat, and he's got a nice wood look trim on his walls.
Of course.
So the problem with, like you're saying, and I think people need to be aware of this.
Yeah.
You are going to need to make some adjustments to where you put this thing.
Yes.
So this requires some effort on the part of somebody who wants to own a float tank.
Right. So you gotta think about it. Don't you're not gonna put it inside on a carpet.
Right.
Salt, people come out of the float tank, they come out with salt, whether you want it or not, and salt will get into things. So also you need to always make sure everything is wiped and clean in that room, right? And you need, so it's a little bit of maintenance. And I think ice bath is generally easier. However, since Dreampod is also selling ice bath, I can tell you that the ice bath industry has, a lot of also user errors because it exploded so quickly. People are not handy and they don't understand it needs to be maintained as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, but not as the float tank, I would say.
Yeah, what is on this float tank, if someone were to purchase one, what is the process by which they would go through? If, for example, something were to break, what does Dreampod do for that person if their tank in some way doesn't work?
So Dreampod, we have pods in around 40 countries around the world and a lot of clients, and we obviously provide support to all of them. Some of the pods are working already 6, 7, 8, 9 years.
That's awesome.
But like a car, they have changed, they have replaced the heater, probably they have replaced the pump, and we help, of course, to do that. So basically we have a 3 years warranty on the pod part.
Outstanding.
On the pod part, the fiberglass, those parts, and 1 year warranty on the engine box. And then after that, we just keep giving support to people, basically. And when they need to buy parts, order parts, or they need any issue, then we give them support through email or phone calls. So we have that kind of warranty. What you consider the
that's a good one. That's a good example of what I was looking for. This person has put their pod into a glassed in marble-based shower.
I believe this is a 3D rendering. We're suggesting it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I was gonna say this is a very.
It's
a nice setup.
Nice rendering.
That's a nice rendering. But in an environment like this, and most likely when this episode airs, we will have showed our setup in the back, and how if somebody is trying to set something up in an outdoor setting, that may in fact be the way to go. If you can get away from the sun and away from the elements, keep it outside so that it can air and won't ruin your drywall, your carpet, your tile, whatever.
In terms of the salt corrosion and all of that, it's good to be outdoor. But you have to think of other things, right? So if you do put it outdoor, you have to try as best as you can to keep it, in a place that's quiet, of course, right? So again, you go back to the sensory deprivation, of course, right?
Yeah.
So people, it's possible to put it outdoor, but think about it carefully. Like, how is it covered? Which area it is, how hot is it raining in there, everything we
direct
spoke about.
Sunlight, yes,
right,
is the ground level.
It's the ground level. So then we have the anti-vibration mat, so it helps with with that. These things are important to think about before you get your float tank. And nowadays, so we have home float tanks, right? And I don't think there aren't many companies in the world that do that.
You're the only one I found.
I'm not sure, but okay, that's good. And we have 3 float tanks for home. Maybe you can show there on the website or something. This is something we've developed in the last couple of years because we think
products. Which one would I look at? Float tanks.
So, go to float tanks.
Float tanks.
Right. So you see this home float flex. This is our newest product. It's an inflatable float pod.
Oh, outstanding.
And it's the most affordable one.
Okay.
And obviously we made it so people can buy it. It's around $5,000 with shipping.
Nice.
And it comes with a similar engine box. But
does it have a lid?
It has a lid.
It's
an inflatable lid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I tried it. It's fine. It's great. And it's more affordable. And then we have the Home Float Pro. That's the one you got.
Yep, right here.
Right
Click
there.
on it. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And this one has... So this one, for example, has lights, right? The inflatable one doesn't have lights.
No lights,
right?
obviously because of electrical.
So it's stripped down. Every version, when we go down, right, stripped down from some features, of course. And then we have the newest one. If you go back one page, you go to the Home Float Plus.
I think Home Float, Mineral Soaker.
I think more at the bottom.
Lower?
More down. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's not there.
Not there? Not yet. You got the Sport Float right there.
Oh, maybe it's not there right now.
Maybe not on the website quite yet.
You can go to Google and search for Dreampod Home Float Plus, and I'm sure you're gonna see a picture of it. That's our newest design for. So this is one up from the Home Float Pro with the arch cover. So yeah, we have 3 versions for home tanks, and we have like 5 versions of commercial tanks. The commercial tanks, of course, have everything like what people experience in when they go to a float center. The music.
Plus, Home Float Plus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you see?
Right here?
Yeah.
Left side?
That one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one. Yeah. So that's the newest one.
Very nice.
For home. And yeah, that's on the rendering too. But we just received the shipment, and we already sending them out to people.
Very cool.
And this is the one we, for example, in your case, right? You wanted to get this one, but
Spacing.
spacing, and that's
Yep.
that's another good reason that we have, there's several sizes.
It's very
right?
smart to have several sizes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
But this is a cool one. Yeah, it's kind of unique design, as you
Yes,
see.
it
That's
is.
one of the important things we have in our company from the beginning. It's important for us that the product is kind of sexy and
It is.
and inviting. If it's something that looks like
a coffin.
square or a coffin, yeah, it's not so inviting to go in. It's
No.
more scary.
Yeah, it's very clean. It's very slick. Your logo is outstanding and
Thank you.
very inviting as well. I know you said you personally designed it, so that's great.
My company, designed it in China. Yeah, I lived in China for 20 years. So
Oh, cool. Do you speak Mandarin?
I speak Mandarin. Yeah,
That's cool. Very cool.
But yeah, it's a good logo. Dreampod. It's a good name too. I
So
believe.
where would somebody go if they had interest in getting one of
All right.
these?
So
Best place.
best to go is to our website, Dreampod. Go back to the other page, dream-pod.com.
Right here?
Yeah, right here, and go to any product that you're interested in. If you go to any product, like
Let's say if they
go
want
back to float tanks.
Let's go back. Yeah, let's go back to the one that we
Yeah.
just got. Let's
Yeah,
say they
go
want
back to that one.
Okay, so they want the Pro.
All right, go scroll down, more down. Yeah, right there. So that's how you contact us at
Got
the
it.
moment. At the moment, this is how we get inquiries, and then we discuss details, with the person, whether it's commercial, whether it's personal.
Sure.
Yeah, that's how we do it right now. We
That's
also
awesome.
have a lot of authorized dealers. So if you search online, Dreampod, whichever version, you'll find a lot of websites.
Local to you, which will ultimately help with shipping.
Not exactly. No, our warehouse in the US is in Utah.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is we have a lot of authorized sellers that they also sell like different e-shops that specialize in like biohacking, and they sell several of those like float tanks and saunas.
Yeah.
Those kind of places, and ice
Nice.
bath. Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh,
Awesome, bro. So yeah, this is where you would go. Dreampod is
Yeah.
the name of the company.
Yeah, Dreampod, and yeah, you can go there. You can go to contact. You can contact us by Instagram, by Facebook. Really anywhere, and we'll get back to you quickly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We're so excited, man. Again, thank you so much for coming in, bringing the tub. We can't wait to get the education and obviously the content flowing, get more people interested in this. I think this is going to be just as big, if not bigger, than contrast therapy with time. I think the benefits are just as important to know about, and appreciate you helping, coming on the podcast and helping us set it up.
Yeah, I can't. First of all, thank you for having me, and I can't wait to see you and the guys around here trying and hear the feedback.
Everyone's excited.
And
Every person we've talked to is
There are
excited.
probably quite a few of them are first-time floater, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you.
I think you'll be first. Nate said he's first. Jake's first. I think everyone's first but me.
Okay.
So yeah, everybody's first. Courtney too.
So when you ask when I ask float center owners what kind of reactions they get,
Yeah.
it's first time floaters. People say, some people start crying, some people, it's like all kind of emotional reactions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're gonna witness some of this.
I can't wait.
And I can't wait to hear about it.
I will tell you every single juicy detail. All
Great.
right, bud.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, bud.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for watching that episode of Becoming the 1% podcast. If you like the content and you want to see more of it, hit the like and subscribe. Activate that notification bell as well. We really appreciate it. If you guys want to see more of it, we actually have the Becoming the 1% Instagram, and the podcast is available on Spotify. For our socials, we have Strict Vision Athletics on Instagram, we have it on YouTube, and we have it on TikTok.